There is a gap behind your refrigerator right now, and it is about 6 millimeters wide. That is the thickness of an ordinary pencil. A full-grown house mouse walks through 6 millimeters without slowing down, because a mouse has no collarbone, and if its head fits, the rest of it follows. A young rat needs 20 millimeters. That is the width of your thumb. You have been buying things. The plug-in device that hums in the socket. The little trays. The company that comes out and quotes you for the first visit and then wants a fee every single month forever. And still, at 2 a.m, you hear it. That small, dry scratching inside the wall, above your head, moving from left to right. I want to tell you something that took me a long time to accept. You do not have a mouse problem. You have an opening problem and a food problem and a water problem. The mouse is only the receipt. So before anything else, tonight, do this. Take a pencil out of the drawer, go behind your refrigerator, get down with a torch, and look at where the pipes and the cable come through the wall. If the pencil goes in, they are already coming in. And I want to be very clear about what this is because I know who is watching. Nothing goes on your floor that a child could pick up. Nothing goes in a dish that your dog could eat. There is no poison in this house, which also means there is nothing dying slowly inside your wall cavity in August, which is a smell you do not forget for a year. No snap traps by the skirting board where a grandchild crawls. No powders. Steel wool, a tube of sealant, some glass jars, and a little peppermint oil kept up high and out of reach. That is the whole thing. My name is Maya Sato. I am 58, and I keep an old wooden house in the mountains of Nagano, the same kind of house my Oba-chan raised me in. Timber frame, tatami, a persimmon tree in the yard, and a rice field 40 meters from the back door. A wooden house in the mountains is the easiest house in the world for a mouse to enter. In 40 winters, they have been inside exactly twice. So here is everything in order, and I want you to know all of it before we start. First, the reading of the house. How to tell where they walk without ever seeing one. Then the pencil rule and the 5 places in your home where the hole almost always is. Then the closing with steel wool and a screwdriver. Then the door. Then the water, which is the one nobody thinks about and which is the reason they stay. Then the food and the 1 bag in your garage that is feeding them tonight. Then the outside line, the gravel, the wood pile, the branch over your roof. And last, the dish my Oba-chan kept in the tansu, which is the only scent that has ever worked for me and only for a reason I will explain. Do these this weekend for about 600 yen in materials, the price of 2 coffees. And by the 2nd week, the scratching stops. Not quieter, stops. One thing before I start. This video shows you how to close a house. The book answers the question I will not have time to answer here. Why they always come back. And it is not the product you used. The Maya Library. The link is below and at the top of the comments. If you are watching on television, hold your phone up to the square on the screen. Now, let us begin. Let me start with what almost everybody gets wrong, because if you do not understand this part, none of the rest will hold. People treat a mouse like a smell problem. They buy something that smells strong, they put it down, and they wait. And for 3 days it works, and they are delighted, and on the 4th day the scratching comes back, and they decide the trick was a lie. It was not a lie. It was the wrong order. A mouse is not in your house because your house smells nice. A mouse is in your house because your house is a warm box with a door left open, water on tap, and food it can reach. Scent is the last 5% of the work. If you do the scent first, you are asking a starving animal to walk away from a full plate because the plate smells odd. It will hold its nose and eat. So we close the door first. We take the plate away second. And only then does the scent do anything at all, because by then you are only asking it to skip an empty room. That is the whole logic. Everything now follows it. The first one, the reading of the house. You do not need to see a mouse to know exactly where it walks. A mouse will not cross an open floor if it can help it. It runs with one flank touching a wall, always, because its whiskers tell it where it is in the dark, and its fur carries oil, and dust sticks to that oil, and over weeks it leaves a mark. Go along your skirting boards with a torch held low, almost flat against the floor, so the light rakes across the surface. You are looking for a faint dark smear at the very bottom of the wall, about 2 or 3 centimeters up. It looks like a dirty pencil line drawn by a tired hand. That is a run. That is a road they have used many times. Then look behind and under, the back corner beneath the sink, the gap beside the cooker, behind the washing machine, the dark half-meter behind the refrigerator where nobody has been in 6 years. You are looking for droppings, small, dark, about the size of a grain of rice, pointed at the ends. Fresh ones are soft and shiny. Old ones are gray and crumble under a knife tip. That difference tells you whether this is happening now or happened last winter. And if you want to be certain, there is an old test, and it costs nothing. Take a tablespoon of plain flour and dust it in a thin line, about 10 centimeters wide, across the floor where you suspect the run, under the sink, along the back of the cupboard. Do it at night. In the morning, take your torch and look at it flat. You will see the footprints, and a fine drag line down the middle where the tail went. Now you know. Not a guess. In my house, the run comes in at the northwest corner of the kitchen, where the drain pipe passes through the timber, and it has been the same corner since before I was married. The second one, the pencil rule. 6 millimeters for a mouse, 20 for a rat. And here is the thing that catches people. You must check with an object, not with your eye, because the eye is a terrible judge of a gap in a dark corner, and the gap is almost never where you imagined it. There are 5 places, and it is nearly always one of them, where the water pipe comes through the wall under the kitchen sink. Open that cupboard, empty it, take the torch, and look at the collar around the pipe. That collar is often a ragged hole with a plastic cover that does not sit flush. Where the waste pipe leaves behind the washing machine, same story. The corner under the front door at the hinge side where the seal has worn and the light comes through. The vent bricks or the air vent covers on the outside wall. The mesh rusts out from the center and leaves a hole the size of a coin. And where the gas line or the electric cable enters. That one is almost always drilled oversize and then forgotten. Take your pencil. Try each one. Write down which ones fail. There will be more than you expect, and there will be one you would never have guessed. The third one, the closing. Now this is where people reach for expanding foam, and I want to stop you. A mouse chews foam like it is bread. It chews plastic. It chews wood. It chews soft feeler. Its teeth grow continuously, and it must wear them down. So a soft plug is not a wall. It is a project. What they will not chew is steel wool. coarse grade, not the fine soapy pads for pans. The rough gray coils sold in a hardware shop, or copper mesh if you can find it, which is better because it does not rust and stain the wall. Take a piece about the size of your fist, roughly 30 grams. Push it into the hole with the flat of a screwdriver and keep pushing until it is packed firm. Not resting in the mouth of the hole, packed deep, so that when you press it with your thumb, it does not give. The wool has to grip the sides. Then run a bead of exterior sealant across the face of it and smooth it with a wet finger. The wool stops the teeth. The sealant stops the draft and the damp, and it holds the wool in place for years. A 100-gram roll of steel wool costs about 200 yen and will close every hole in an average house twice over. It sits in a drawer and does nothing else for the next 10 years. And that, is the part I want you to sit with for a moment. The pest control companies have known about the 6-millimeter rule since before I was born. It is not hidden. It is in their own training material. But a house that has been properly closed does not need a man to come back every month with a clipboard and a torch and a charge for the visit. A 200 yen roll of steel wool does not renew itself. A contract does. They are not lying to you. They are simply not in the business of ending it. The fourth one, the door. Stand inside your front door in the daytime, turn the light off, and look at the bottom edge. If you see daylight, you have a gap. Most worn door seals leave 8 to 10 millimeters at the hinge corner, and that is a doorway. Fit a brush strip along the bottom, the kind with dense nylon bristle, not the soft rubber flap, because rubber curls and lifts within a season. 10 minutes with a screwdriver. Do the back door and the garage door too. The garage is usually the worst one in the whole property, and the garage is usually where the food is. But the next one is the one my neighbor did not believe, until she watched it happen in her own kitchen, because she had sealed every hole in her house properly, and they were still there. The fifth one, the water. This is the one nobody thinks about, and it is the reason they stay after everything else is done. A mouse needs about 3 milliliters of water a day. 3 milliliters. That is less than a teaspoon. A tap that drips once every 4 seconds gives it a lake. So, tonight, check under the sink with a dry piece of kitchen paper pressed against the trap and the joint. If it comes up damp, that is your water source. Empty the dog's bowl before you go to bed and refill it in the morning. Empty the saucers under the houseplants. Do not leave a wet cloth folded on the edge of the sink overnight. Wring it out and hang it flat. Check the drip tray underneath the refrigerator at the back, near the floor, which almost nobody has ever cleaned, and which is warm, dark, and permanently wet. Take the water away and the house stops being habitable, no matter how much food is left. The sixth one, the food, glass and metal. That is the rule, and there is no third material. Mice go through a plastic tub, a cereal box, a paper bag of rice, a bag of pasta. They will open a corner of a cardboard box in under a minute, and you will not know until the flour runs out on the shelf. So, rice, flour, sugar, oats, pasta, biscuits, dried fruit, into glass jars with a screw lid or into steel tins. Nothing in its shop packaging on an open shelf. Then the bag in your garage, bird seed, or the 20-kilo sack of dog food, or the chicken feed, standing on the concrete floor with the top rolled over. That single bag will feed a family of mice all winter, and I have seen people spend 100,000 yen on their kitchen while that sack sat 40 feet away, open into a metal bin with a lid that seats every time. And the last thing about food, give yourself a fixed hour, or 8 in the evening in my house, after which the kitchen is closed, crumbs swept from under the toaster, the sink emptied and wiped dry, no plate left to soak overnight, pet bowls up. Not because a crumb is a feast, but because the routine is what makes it hold. Willpower fails. An hour does not. The 7th one, the outside line. Everything so far was inside. This is the part that stops them arriving in the first place. Along the base of the outside wall, clear a strip about 30 centimeters wide and lay gravel 5 centimeters deep. Bare, open, loose stone. Mice hate crossing it. It is exposed. It is noisy underfoot, and there is nothing to run alongside. That single strip does more than any device you can plug into a socket. Cut back the ivy and the climbing plants off the wall entirely. A mouse climbs ivy the way you climb a staircase. The woodpile goes 1 meter from the wall and 30 centimeters off the ground on blocks. Against the wall, a woodpile is a mouse hotel with a covered walkway to your kitchen. And look up. Any branch hanging within a meter of your roof edge is a bridge. Rats in particular travel along branches and enter at the roof line, and then you hear them above the ceiling and you cannot understand how they got up there. Cut it back a meter. 1 afternoon's work, once. The 8th one. The dish in the tansu. Now, and only now, with the house closed and the water gone and the food in glass. The scent works. In the tansu where my Oba-chan kept the family ceramics wrapped in cloth, there was always camphor. Small white blocks, and that clean, sharp smell that gets into the wood and stays for a generation. Nothing ever nested in that chest. Nothing ever came near it. I use camphor and peppermint together on unglazed ceramic, and I keep it in enclosed places only, behind the refrigerator, inside the back of a low cupboard, in the void under the sink. Never on an open floor, never anywhere the cat sleeps or a small hand goes, because concentrated oil is not something an animal should be licking. Out of reach, always. Here is the mixture, and here is the part that decides whether it works. Take 1 unglazed ceramic disc, a bare terracotta plant pot saucer about 5 centimeters across. Does perfectly, and it costs almost nothing. Put 20 drops of pure peppermint oil onto it. That is 1 milliliter, about 1/4 of a level teaspoon. Then take 1 camphor block and crush half of it, about 2.5 grams, a piece the size of a pea, and scatter the pieces onto the wet disc. And this is the reason it usually fails for people. Cotton wool holds oil for about 4 days, and then it is finished, and they never renew it, and they conclude it does not work. Unglazed ceramic holds it for 8 to 10 days, because the clay draws the oil into itself and releases it slowly. Put a mark on your calendar every Sunday. Renew. That is the whole difference between a trick that works and a trick you gave up on. 1 10 milliliter bottle of peppermint oil charges 10 stations. You want 3 or 4 stations in a normal house. Behind the refrigerator, under the sink, in the back of the pantry cupboard, and at the point where the pipe entered before you sealed it. Success smells like standing in your kitchen at night and catching a faint, cool sweetness near the floor when you open the cupboard. Failure is a disc that smells of nothing when you put your face near it, which means it stopped working 4 days ago and you did not notice. So let me say the whole thing once more, slowly, so you can write it down. For 1 cent station, 1 unglazed terracotta saucer, about 5 centimeters across. Bare clay, not glazed. Glazed will not hold the oil. 20 drops of pure peppermint oil, that is 1 milliliter, about 1/4 of a level teaspoon, dropped straight onto the dry clay and left to soak in for 1 minute. Half a camphor block, about 2½ grams, a piece the size of a pea, crushed and scattered on top. Placement: enclosed spaces only. Behind the refrigerator in the back of a low cupboard, in the void under the sink, and at any point where a pipe enters the wall. Never on an open floor. Never within reach of a cat, a dog, or a child. Renewal: 20 fresh drops every 8 to 10 days. Mark 1 day of the week and keep it. Yield: 1 10 milliliter bottle of peppermint oil charges 10 stations. 3 or 4 stations covers an ordinary house, so 1 bottle carries you through a full season. You have the whole method now. But I want to tell you something before you go. In this video, I showed you how to close the house and take the water and the food away. But I did not give you the 30-day plan that brings a house back to 0. And that is the part that decides whether any of this holds past February. Because a house cleaned in the wrong order feeds them again by Friday, and you will blame the steel wool. It is not the steel wool. That plan is in Volume 2, and there are 8 cards. You hang them where you work, because when your hands are busy, you cannot go looking for a video. The Maya Library, the link is below. It is also at the top of the comments. And the square is on the screen. Hold your phone up to it. By the second Sunday, you will notice something strange. You will be lying awake out of habit, listening for it at 2 in the morning, and there will be nothing there. Just the house, and the wind, and the timber ticking as it cools. The full cost of everything I have described is about 600 yen the first time, and after that 20 drops of oil on a Sunday. Now tell me one thing, and be honest. Which of the 5 entry points failed your pencil test? Under the sink, behind the machine, the door corner, the vent, or the cable? Just tell me which one. I read every one of them. The whole scent recipe is written out for you below the video, with the amounts, so you do not have to go back through it. Next time, I want to show you what my Oba-chan did with the entrance hall, and it involves a shallow dish, a handful of something you already have in your kitchen cupboard, and the reason no house of hers ever smelled of anything but clean wood. Until then, waste nothing and take care of your home, and it will take care of you.